Welcome to episode 23 of the Courageous Coach podcast, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on what it really takes to be courageous with your clients, your business, and your life. I'm your host, Melissa Hague. This is a special episode because today I'm joined by not one, but 5 courageous coaches, all founding members of the Courageous Coach community. This conversation was an experiment, and I really hope you enjoy listening. We chat about the significance of community in coaching, exploring the meaning of community, the importance of non-judgment, and the experiences we've shared during the Courageous Coach annual gatherings. We reflect on our ongoing journeys of personal development and that growth is a continuous process, not just a one-time event. So, are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome, everybody, to the Courageous Coach podcast. Thank you so much for being here for our very special episode, because today I am joined by not one, but 5 awesome coaches who come along today. They've all loosely volunteered, when I put out the call to say, I really want to have a conversation with more than one guest who are all courageous coaches, part of my courageous coaching community. Let's get together, let's have a conversation, and let's see what happens. So none of us have any idea what's going to happen today. So let's roll with it and see what happens. So first of all, let's just hear from everyone so we can get everyone's voices in the room. So welcome, Donna. Good to have you here.
Good morning.
And Amy is with us.
Hello.
And Kathryn.
Hello, listeners.
And Jane.
Morning.
And Gayle.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. And as you all know, I am Melissa. It's so good to have you all here and to do this little experiment with me. And we're going to see how it goes. I have to admit to being a little bit nervous about doing this episode because this feels like a lot, right? 5 people trying to host 5 people, trying to make this a good episode for our listeners. So I'm going to let all of that perfectionism and doing it right, and I'm going to let all of that go and just breathe, and let's see what happens. So one of the things that's really important to me about the work I do with courageous coaches is creating community, right? Creating a space for people to come together and be on their courage building journeys, share that courage building journey with each other, because it's not easy. It's really hard work. And when we are being courageous, or we're feeling vulnerable, and all of those things are coming up for us, comparison and shame and scarcity, what also comes up for us is that we think we're on our own. We think we're alone in all of that. And so the community for me is about helping me and the people in my community to not feel alone, and to have people that they can come together with to share, their successes, their challenges, and everything in between. So today we're going to talk about community. So the first thing I really, really kind of want to kick off with is, what do we mean by that word, right? What is community? So what does community mean to us, particularly in the context of courageous coaching? And so I'm going to kind of fire some questions and pick some people to kick us off. So Gayle, let me come to you first. What does community mean to you in the context of courageous coaching?
I had a feeling you'd come to me first. I was sat here thinking, don't come to me first. Don't come to me first.
Get them brave pants on, girl.
Yeah, probably because then you could see them behind me. Yeah, no, I've got a Zoom wardrobe on. Let's not do that. Although this isn't Zoom, other recording platforms are available. Sorry, Melissa. So what does community mean to me? I was thinking about this actually, and was thinking that this community that you've created around courageous coaching it's not an in-your-face community. And I really like that. And what I mean by that is that this community of coaches, I know at any point I could drop any one of these ladies a message and guys that were on the course that we originally did, and they'd respond and they'd come back with something that was valid, that was worthwhile, that was encouraging, that was everything I needed in that moment. So I feel like whilst it is a community, it's not a community that is in a WhatsApp group that's going off every 5 minutes, that actually nobody really wants to be a part of. If exactly that. We were talking about that earlier this morning at something else. So yeah, I think it's a community that I know that everybody's kind of in the background doing their own thing, but when we come together, we're quite powerful.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, the dreaded WhatsApp group. Pings every 5 minutes, drives you mad, seems lovely idea, but then in the end you mute it, don't you? And then you can't leave because it tells everyone, doesn't it? Melissa has left the group, which just feels rude. So yeah, totally get that. Thank you, Gayle. And Kathryn, what about for you? What does community mean to you in the context of courageous coaching?
So I was thinking about this question earlier, and I think possibly community is a little bit different for me than everybody else in the group, because I think I'm right in saying I'm the only internal coach. So everybody else, you all have your own businesses. Some of you have your own podcasts. So for me, I think community I was thinking about it almost in ripples. So it kind of ebbs and flows between the different communities that I'm part of. But all communities have one thing in common, which is people. That's people make up communities, isn't it? And I think, like Gayle said, that's where you get your connection, your support, your challenge, all of those things. Community is about, I think, and there's probably a psychological term for it, and I should know it because I am doing a psychology masters at the moment, but I don't know because it's gone out of my head. But that, you feel that too, or you've got that problem too, and even though they might not be able to necessarily solve your problem, because that's obviously not what coaching is about, but yeah, having that kind of connected community and just being able to feel supported. So I think, for me, I've got communities within the organisation I work for. I work in the NHS. I've got a fantastic network that's very supportive. I've got external NHS connections, and I've got the wider community, you guys, LinkedIn. There's ripples and ripples that kind of ebb and flow, I think, for me, where I get my support. And also I think it's around inspiring others, isn't it? So wanting to inspire people as well as being inspired.
I love that idea of ebb and flow, because I know that's something that's true for me with community, is that sometimes I'm kind of like all in and sometimes I'm really not. And so I think that's such an important part of community, that people can, like, I use that language, Kathryn, like ebb and flow in and out as they need to. Yeah, lovely. Jane, what about for you? What does this idea of community mean for you on your own courage building journey?
So I just had one of those ick moments when you were talking about WhatsApp groups. And I belong to a WhatsApp group, which I probably am going to leave, and I'm not going to feel bad about that. But that makes me feel wholly inadequate, that group, because there's not context. It's just what people put in it. And I think for our community, we've all met, we've all been in each other's company. And that's like an invisible cloak for me, I think, that's wrapped around me, because it allows us just to be ourselves, but overarchingly it is totally unjudged. There's no judgment, and I know that's a term, but there is no sense of that. And in the two that we've been to, or I've been to, there's none of that, none of it. And I find that really difficult to find anywhere else. Anywhere else.
That makes my heart sing, right? Because non-judgment's super hard. And Jane, as there are gatherings. Jane's talking about we've had 2 face-to-face gatherings now. All of, you've all been part of one or both of those, to be fair. And yeah, it's rare, isn't it? That group of people where there isn't any judgment. There isn't a need to perform or to be anything other than what you are in that moment. And the other thing that strikes me as well is that I didn't curate that. right? I don't know, do something that made, or certainly not consciously do something that made that happen. So the other thing I love about community is that it's absolutely.
I can see,
and I wanted to
do anything consciously to create those conditions.
Well,
apart from using your 25 years of experience or whatever it is of creating psychological safe spaces and, you know, making it just amazing for all of us, finding the best venue ever, creating different exercises to help us open up. You know, you didn't
she
do any
didn't
of
think,
that.
did she? No, we just rocked up randomly.
Okay.
And I'm sure all of you, I am in awe of Melissa. Equally, I am in awe of all of you. But I have that in awe of, but without feeling I'm nearly swore, I'm not good enough. There is none of that. Yeah. So
it really makes me think of how Melissa opened this podcast, talking about feeling nervous, not sure what to expect. Like, let's get a bit of coach speaking, bit of a parallel process. When I rocked up to my first gathering this year, I was really nervous. Took all of my energy not to swear then, Jane. I'm feeling your pain.
Yeah.
Like, it's when you join a community, particularly one that already has some established members, there's that really natural playground fear. Like, will I fit? Will they like me? How do I edge myself in? Like, all of those worries that run around our heads. And I think when I rocked up to your beautiful venue, all of that fear, all of that excitement, but when I walked through that door, there was like, I really felt your cloak analogy, Jane. There was like a, I'm okay. This is safe. These people are good. I feel like I belong. I feel like I want to be here. And there's something I'm going to gain from all of the elements that are here in this space for me.
I feel the need to just say that, or to clarify, what I love about the community is that it isn't hard for me, right? So you're right. Of course, there was effort, and I you know, trying to create the right environment and all of that, but it doesn't feel hard to do that. It's a very kind of natural space, and I think, Donna, you're right. That sense of these are my people. I'm okay here. I'm safe here, right? And because we've already, you know, we're doing the work around courage and vulnerability. Do you know what? If something doesn't quite work, or, you know, I don't quite get that bit right, or lunch isn't quite on time, or none of that matters, right? None of that matters. Whereas quite often when we're in a facilitative space, it's kind of can be about performance. Amy, I want to come to you just because I know I haven't yet, around this idea of community and courageous coaching. What would you add?
Well, I mean, a lot of what everybody has said already, but I think for me, what has been so important is, you know, for a lot of us that have come out of the corporate world, you come into the coaching community and they're like, generally people are lovely if they've become coaches, because, you know, we're wanting to help other people and stuff like that. But there is tribes within tribes, isn't there? And I think there's something about finding those right kinds of people, because I found coming out of the industry I'd always worked in, nobody kind of got what I did. You know, all of my friends were still in the grind and all of that. So it's that finding those people that get it, but just like you said, the ones that you feel safe with. And I have a thing, I've told you about this before, Melissa. I have a thing, and it's a chip on my own shoulder. I probably need to do some work on it and all of that. But I have a thing about coaches who have all their qualifications as a badge of honour, and the snobbery that can go on in the coaching community that's like, well, I'm PCC, MCC, whatever. And what I love about this community and what is important to me for community is that ability to be real and down to earth and be yourself and basically be courageous without all of that frou-frou. So I think that's about finding your people, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's, you know, but yeah, I can't stand, like, there's some like coaching, networking things and stuff that I have turned up to and just thought, I do not fit in here because I swear, because I dare to say things a little bit differently, because when people are talking about exponential something coaching that I've never heard of or some, you know, amazing model, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to stop now, Melissa, because some of those people might be listening. But I've definitely gone down the rabbit hole of what I don't like in a community.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm saying is I love the flip side. And I love the fact that everyone else in this studio now is all laughing at what I'm saying because they get it.
I think that difference is that we start from the place of being human, not being coaches. Like coaching is something we have in common. Absolutely. It's an approach, it's a philosophy, it's almost a way of life, isn't it? Like how many people in your day-to-day life go, don't do that bloody coaching thing to me. Stop yourself. But we don't don't start from that, right, let's come together as coaches. I think one of the things you've done really beautifully, Melissa, is start from the point of being human.
I've got to I was going to say, I've got to come to Gayle, because Gayle, you and I have talked about this a lot, I know, before, right? This kind of love-hate relationship with coaching communities, and what's good about them and what's not good about them. So I just feel like there's probably something you'd like to add.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Amy, and Amy, you and I had a conversation over the dinner table about coaching snobbery. And, you know, I have stepped away from some other coaching groups because there was something I went to a while ago and it just ended up in like a model off. You know, like, I use this model. Oh, and I'll raise you this model. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I even doing here? And there are some things that I go to and think, and then I start to question myself, right? So then the comparisonitis becomes real. And I've said to you, Melissa, before that in this group, in this community, I never have comparisonitis. It just isn't there. So thank you to all you ladies for that. But that can be quite big for me, particularly in the company of coaches that do exactly what Amy has just said. And I better stop because, yes, you're quite right, Amy, there might be people that are listening to this, but you're right, you know, it's this human thing. And I was on something the other day with Claire Pedrick, who I absolutely love, and the human thing, and she actually talked about her coaching book that was simplifying coaching, isn't it? And she said that when she's rewriting it, because she's read it back and gone, oh my God, I was writing to all the coaching gods. And actually, I don't even like it. And so now I'm rewriting it because it has to come from this human place. So, yeah.
I love this idea of human first, right? When we talk about community, because I suspect that doesn't just apply to coaching communities, right? There are many communities that I'm probably part of, or am part of, not just professionally, but personally as well, where I could probably do with a bit more of human first, rather than, you know, badge or performance, or this is how I should be showing up. So yeah, I like this idea of human first. And I think that that's probably missing generally, from many things, but from coaching, right? We're humans first before we're coaches. Yeah, lovely. I really like that. So, okay, so what I'm wondering about then is this idea that, you know, you've all been through the program with me and then came to the gathering. So you arrived at that gathering already, and, you know, not just the gathering, others, if you're part of circle backs, you know, all of those kind of things that we've done. You're kind of rocked up already having an understanding of what it means to be human, right? Courage, vulnerability, comparison, Gayle, you mentioned, you know, all of those things, shame, perfectionism, you know, all of that. You kind of had done or were doing. None of us are done doing the work, right? And so I'm wondering now, is that part of what creates that created the conditions for the gathering, i.e. you'd already done the work, you were on the journey, you were all on the journey together. I wonder if you hadn't been through the program and you just come along to a, gathering for coaches or a coaching retreat or something like that, I wonder if it would be different. So I'm curious about other maybe gatherings or retreat type things that you've been on with coaches. Have they felt same, different? I'm curious. So, well, first of all, who's been on other retreats with coaches or gatherings with coaches before? Okay, all right, Donna, let's come to you, and then maybe we can build from there.
Well, I'm kind of sitting with what you said, because it wasn't a linear journey. So I did your program, and I couldn't make your first gathering, which I was gutted about, but it meant there was like 18 months, nearly 2 years between doing the program and rocking up to the gathering. And so that's not to say that the work didn't continue, but it wasn't fresh in my mind at the point of arrival. And if anything, in some ways, I wonder if that added to the nervousness. Right? This has been a little while. Do I remember everything? What are we going to go back to? Should I have bought my homework? All of those silly side questions that we ask. Going to other gatherings. So you and I attended Teresa Wilson's shadow work retreat weekend. She similarly created a very, very magical space. And I think what's in common across those experiences is that human first approach. This doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, there's no kind of blueprint for how it should or might look. It's your journey. It's for you to put in and take out whatever works for you. So I wonder, as I say that out loud, if there's something in that openness to co-create the experience and allow the experience to be yours, whatever that looks like, knowing there's a part that's shared with the group that's there, but there will always be a part that's personal just to you.
And I think there's something in all of that for you, Melissa, in that you have done the work or are doing the work, because that in itself takes a lot of courage to be able to go, actually, it might go. And particularly because you're honest and vulnerable and tell us what's going on for you rather than just standing at the front pretending to be perfect. We all know that you will be having that going on in your head, like, but what if we're, particularly when you've had years of facilitation behind you where you're like, no, we've got to finish on this time and we've got to do this and we've got to do that, that actually you're demonstrating that vulnerability and courage just, by doing and creating the space that you are. But you wouldn't be able to do that if you hadn't done the work either.
No, absolutely. And, that makes me think as well about this whole idea of courage is contagious, right? And, I often talk about having, we need to role model this for our clients. If we're courageous, then our clients catch it. And actually, that's the same for me, although I don't think of you as clients necessarily, I wouldn't use that language, but it's the same kind of principle, right? If I'm courageous and vulnerable and open and honest, then, that gives everyone else in the room permission to do the same. And you catch it, it's contagious. And I think that, I've been on, not just as a coach, but I've been on many trainings and retreats and, gatherings and all of those things over the years, I'm sure as you all have, where, the person who is at the front of the room, well, for a start, they're at the front of the room. But, they set the tone, right? So how they introduce themselves, hi, I'm Melissa Hague. I am a chartered member of the CIPD. I am a senior practitioner with the EMCC. I have been coaching for, It's like, okay, well, that tells you that sets the tone then, right? Doesn't it? For what's coming next. And And one of the things I'm really conscious of now, and I'm just coming off the back, literally yesterday, off the back of the EMCC annual conference, I was really careful about how I chose to introduce myself to people, and really aware of how other people were introducing themselves to me. And on the whole, almost without exception, it was, hi, I'm Peter and I'm David and, I'm Rebecca, and there was no, and I'm this and I've done that and I'm here, and, and it sets the tone. So it's, how open and honest you can be and courageous and vulnerable will determine how the people around you show up too, right? It is absolutely contagious. Kathryn, I wanted to come back to you because I was thinking about your point about being part of many different types of communities, like within the NHS, internally, externally. You mentioned about doing, being part of the academic community at the moment and coaching. So what's different for you around how you might show up? Is there a difference, I guess, is actually the question. Is there a difference for you about how you show up in those different communities?
I use fancier language when I'm at university, but I found myself saying thus a lot in my assignments, which I don't think I've ever used before. I think one of the things for me, particularly from the retreat that I attended, and I was the same as Donna, it was my first one, and I had some of those very similar anxieties. Am I good enough? And I know, Gayle, you talk a lot, don't you, about inner critic, and that's a big thing for me as well. And, will I be... I suppose it's like you do compare yourself, don't you, I suppose, with other people in your communities. And I suppose it's part of that sense. I think Donna spoke about it, of almost like, these are my people, this is my tribe. That when you feel like that, you don't have that sense of, am I good enough? Or, am I worthy enough to be in this space? And one of the things that came out for me from this year's retreat was around, and it's interesting what you've all been saying, because I think this idea of qualifications and models and all what I should be doing. So for me, should was a big word, and trying to catch myself out when I say I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And the fact that I have an ILM level 5 qualification in coaching always made me feel slightly inadequate, that I should have a level 7. But actually, what does that actually mean? And I've chosen to do a level 5 because I want to coach the masses. I don't want to coach senior leadership within my organisation. So I was very particular. So sorry, rambling slightly, but I think those things around, am I good enough and what should I be doing, and actually really listening to that word and thinking, why am I asking myself that? I'm in the communities that I'm in, I can bring something to them. And yeah.
Can I just add into that about your qualification, Kathryn, because not only was it your first retreat, you also had to get a lift with me. So I do apologise for how you arrived to the country. But my point, what I was just thinking as you were saying that was, we've all talked, haven't we, about qualifications. I'm, ACC, PCC, whoever I've done it with, whatever I'm doing. No client of mine has ever asked what my coaching qualifications are, because what we've worked on is that human element. And actually these qualifications and all of these things only matter to the people in coaching. To the people we've talked about, the coaching snobbery there, because we're back in that space of comparison. Oh, well, I've got this. Oh, well, no, I've got this. It will. But actually, none of my clients have ever asked. I don't think they care. And it probably wouldn't they wouldn't know what it meant anyway. Sorry, I'll step down now.
No, it's so true. It is so true. And they don't, right? Because essentially the client just wants to know, can you help me? Right? That's what they want to know. And I think the thing that strikes me, and I catch myself similar to Kathryn with this, is that I get really cross with myself as well, because I've done the qualification and I have the accreditation. But we also have this thing in our profession, which is, well, just as Kathryn said, well, I did an ILM level 7, and now I'm going to do another qualification because someone else has said they've got a master's, or they've got a this, or they've got a that, and I think, well, I haven't got that. I've just got an ILM level 7. Right, I'm going to go and do my master's now. And then the whole kind of accreditation thing. Oh, I've done, I don't know, practitioner or ACC or whatever. Right, now I must work towards my PCC or my, senior practitioner. And I am a sucker for that. Complete sucker, right? And I'm like, at what point will you be enough? That's my question to me. At what point will you be enough? And why are you chasing these things? What's in it for you? What's in it for your clients? If it's so that I can rock up at the next conference and say, oh yes, last time we met, yes, I was a senior practitioner, but now I'm a master practitioner. If it's that, then stop. Like, you do not need this. So yeah, there is that real. It's not even that. Just the first step of I've got the qualification. It's then, okay, what more do I need? How about you're enough already, right?
And isn't it something about defining what success looks like for you? Because I that sounds awful, but you can leave it in. I had a really successful career in leadership, in HR leadership, and I probably should have done I probably should have chartered, to be frank. Didn't, never have. Could have been a fellow quite easily, haven't. Too late now. Because you know what you are, and you know what you can do, and you know the difference that you can make. And I think definitely on the qualifications around coaching, it's a slippery slope, isn't it? That you can quite easily end up tumbling down and hitting a hard rock.
Yeah.
I think what this community does is bring you really close to and allow you to walk that path to who you really are and what you're about.
And ultimately, that's what makes a difference to the clients that we work with, right?
Yeah.
Who we are, how we show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is the humanist, isn't it? It really is that, it's social media loves some humanity, loves some messiness, loves some stories around the actual person. You only need to track your own social media to see what hits the mark and what doesn't.
My best performing
just want to know that
was a Sunday post about the vegetables I was cooking for my dinner.
Yeah. And it's just, there is no rhyme or reason, but people just want to know that you experience life and that it's not perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I've always say with coaching, look, ultimately it is two human beings in connection with each other. That's at its base, that's what it is. And so learning who you are as a human, choosing who you want to be as a human, that's the work, right? For sure. Okay, I've got another question I'm really curious about, because I know this is true for me, and I think I know this is true for everyone in the room as well. I think I do. That look, we have all been on courses, programs, workshops, had a brilliant time, learnt loads, and then got back to our desks, and not a lot has changed. Some stuff maybe, but not a lot. And 6 months later, there's another course or another workshop or another program. And one of the things that I'm really conscious of with the Courageous Coach work is that it isn't a once and done thing. It just can't be, right? Because it's self-development. It's, you're constantly learning. I'm constantly being hit by new pieces of armor, or, discovering a new piece of vulnerability, or being required to be courageous. Sometimes I choose comfort. All of that is happening all the time. It doesn't stop. So this is not a once and done, a flick a light switch kind of program. So, but that said, we all get back to our real lives and move on to the next thing. That's how it's done. That's what happens, right? So what I'm really curious about is, what keeps you coming back? What keeps you kind of continuing to invest in your development as a courageous coach, whether that's the gathering, whether that's just staying in contact with me, whether that's doing your own work, you know, and with others. It's not, you know, just about me. That what keeps you going with this development beyond just that initial program? Jane, let's come to you first. Oh, she says that was a face. Jane pulled a face. If you're not watching on video, just so you know,
I had to hold in a word then that began with the same letter as face. What keeps me coming back? I think it's about knowing that it's time away, which is obvious, right? But it's a commitment to myself that I'm going to do this. And it's helping me enjoy and live fully what is probably the hardest phase of my life, when everybody tells you it gets easier. Well, it doesn't. All right? It just doesn't. Life keeps delivering punches, slaps, push shoves, whatever you want all the time. And it is about, for me, there's been a real shift from being avoidant, what they call in psychological terms avoidant, to being, I'm not avoidant. I am more than happy to get into, have conversations. I'm having to have them all the time. Lost my dad, I've got my mum, she's grieving. It's difficult witnessing her grief, managing my own grief, managing hers. And we're having to have those conversations all the time. And having hard conversations with your parents is really difficult and really uncomfortable. I want to eat my body weight in Revels normally, either before or after. But it is that commitment to, it gives you the foundations to just keep going every day for another year or for another 2 years. And the work is life-changing, and I'm not understating that, and that's not to sell the community. It is life-changing, and I wouldn't be without it. I wouldn't be without it.
As you're talking, Jane, you make the image that came to my mind is like our day-to-day diet. It's like the food you put into your body, right?
Yeah.
It's something that can bring you comfort, bring you nourishment, help to improve the quality of the way things are working in the background. It can be a release. It can be a moment of joy. It's a part of being healthy and happy and well-resourced. Self-awareness is a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, it's great that we can see these things and we can work on these things, but oh my God, is it hard and is it relentless
and exhausting?
Yeah. And so there's that element of returning to a place that feels restorative, that feels safe, that feels nourishing. Like, that's what gets you through, right? I feel like that's what I connected to in what you were saying there, Jane.
Yeah, because there's always work to do, isn't there? There's always something. You know, in the 2 events that I've been to, I've left with something new every time. And the funny thing that really made me laugh the last time I left was I got to the end of the driveway, and normally I turn left. And I said, no, we're going home a different way. We're not using the sat nav. We're just going to freestyle it across the countryside. And I really chuckled to myself. And it was one of those, oh, come on, what's the worst that can happen? You know, you're just going to have to press SOS in your phone. And it is that whole life's to be lived, isn't it? It is to be lived. And I'm in my kitchen and I can see my tea, sugar and coffee tubs. And you're talking about having it and nurturing it. It's almost like it needs a courage tin with that you just come back to. Yeah. You either take a massive handful or you just take half or one.
Spoon in the coffee this morning.
Yeah. With all the other supplements. Yeah.
Lovely. Amy, what about you? What keeps you coming back? What's that about for you?
I think all of the above. And I just wanted to add in, it also stops me feeling the need to spend all that money on all of those other courses and the CPD, because it fills that need that I have. Well, and it reminds me constantly that being human is what makes me good at what I do, and I don't need a badge for everything. So I would say, I've done 2 of the gatherings and obviously did the program before that I'm a lot less shiny. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do that thing. I've kind of realised that, the fixing, there is, it's the work, and that the community you've created, just reiterating that you've created, Melissa, I know we're all part of it, but you have created, I know it's always going to be there to support me with that stuff. And therefore I don't need to go off and do shiny, this, that and the other as well. And I flipping love the gatherings because it's just time away. I mean, she says that with a small child that's left behind at home. But also just that time out. I think Jane said that already, but there's something, it's been really powerful for me, both of the gatherings, in terms of in the first one, we talked about go big or go home. There was a kind of a group coaching session, and it's helped me be courageous and really build things in my business and my life. So I think one of you said something. It's like that comfort blanket. It's just knowing there's a gang that have got your back.
Yeah. Lovely.
But aren't in your face, WhatsApping constantly.
Yeah, WhatsApping every 2 seconds. Yeah, absolutely. Kathryn, I'm also interested from your perspective as well, because again, I think, you and I, you came through the programme in spring, I think 2024, and you came to the gathering beginning of this year, 2025. So it was a bit of a gap for you, but what kept you, or what led you to think, I'm going to come back and do this gathering? What was important for you?
I think probably, as Amy said, all of the above, everything that's been said. But I was thinking it's a bit like anchoring yourself and having an anchor point. So when you feel a bit floaty and maybe there's things going on and you're not quite sure what you're doing, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling stressed, or it's kind of like having those, not just the gathering, but just general opportunities to reflect with other people. I'm better at reflecting with others, whether it's people I work with, whether it's you guys, whether it, whatever, within my communities. It's having those anchoring back to who you are. And I also often have these kind of like, the universe is trying to tell me something. Where you're like, I heard that podcast, and then I read that thing, and there's a bit of a connection there. Perhaps the universe is trying to tell me something, and that's my kind of anchoring. So I think that I need, and I think we all probably do, we need those constant, not all the time, but often anchoring points, so that we are reflecting and thinking about who we are.
Yeah. I love that idea of it being an anchoring point. I don't think I'd called it or thought of it in that way before, but I think that's what it is for me as well, is that kind of, it's that anchor point to come back to the work. Because the work is there constantly for me. It kind of has to be, because I'm, that's my work, and I'm helping other people do the work. So it's constant in my life. But, that ability to have somewhere, or whether it's the gathering, or to be able to have conversations with all of you, and to be able to just anchor in that moment of take a breath, you're doing the work, it's hard, it's not easy, and frankly sometimes I think I wish I wasn't doing this work. Why can't I just not be doing the work?
Unsee it all.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love that idea of an anchor point. I think that's what it is for me too. Yeah, lovely. Gayle, what would you add or build on?
Again, everything that everybody said. There was also, I did say this at the gathering, there's a bit of FOMO for me as well. Well, I don't want all them to be there and me to miss out on anything. But in all seriousness, right, I'm hesitating to use the word transformational, because if we go back to the coaching snobbery, you know, the whole, it's transformational, but actually this has been for me. So I think, Amy, you mentioned, you know, there's courses that we go on and there's shiny things and we pick them all up. And for me, I learn best when I focus on one thing. So when the opportunity came up to go through the program, for me, this was like, this could be the one thing. And obviously it linked with all of my work around confidence. Yeah. So it just felt like the perfect thing. And then I wanted to keep it alive. So I think I'm echoing that everything everybody else has said. But for me, there's probably something around focus. There's something around me really discovering who I am out of corporate life in my own business. And then also the kind of coach that I am and being able to articulate that properly.
Yeah, who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? And I think the other thing that I would add that I really value about this community is that because it's a learning journey, like, you know, the next time I show up with all of you, I might be slightly different because I'll have learned something new or added something new. And there's kind of a general acceptance of that. Right. There's not a kind of, well, hang on, you weren't like that the last time we met. I don't think I like you anymore. Right. There's that real kind of sense of we can morph and change and be malleable with each other. And say, actually, you know, that thing I said I was going to do, or that thing I was going to change, actually, I decided not to, and I've done this instead. And, you know, there's none of this, well, hang on a minute. You know, you said you were going to do this and you haven't. Or, you know, you were like this last year and now you're not. It's just you are where you are.
So I think that nails one of the reasons for keeping coming back. Identity isn't static. It's dynamic throughout our lives, throughout our experiences, and knowing that we're going to encounter those changes makes it even more important to feel that there's an anchoring point. To go back to Kathryn's analogy, while everything else around me is moving and there's uncertainty, and particularly when there's uncertainty in who I am, the person I wake up with, the person I go to bed with, in those moments where I least know who she is, being able to connect to a community that can remind me feels really important.
Yeah. Oh, well, I feel nourished and contented and just like I've had a really good Sunday roast. Right, really good Sunday roast.
Did it have a Yorkshire pudding on it?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Definitely a Yorkshire pudding. But no, thank you, all of you, for agreeing to do this and agreeing to wing it a little bit with me, because we were kind of, this is a group and I don't know, we're not sure about recording with a group and all of that. But, you know, you showed up, you haven't performed, you showed up as you, and shared, and I'm very grateful for that. And more than that, really, actually, you know, these 5 lovely ladies, plus a few others who would have been too big a group to manage in a podcast, are really the founding members, really, of the Courageous Coaching community. They're the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, because of the impact it's had for them and that they've been willing to share is why I'm here doing the work I'm doing. And I'm really excited to see where the community goes, right? And I'm very conscious of, you know, hopefully it's growing, it's expanding, but I'm also fiercely protective of what we already have and what we've already created. So I don't want the WhatsApp group pinging every 5 minutes, and there are things that we want to keep and not lose, really, as part of that growing that community. And also, I'm really conscious that, you know, as people come through the program, people will engage with the community in different ways. And I think that that's a really important part of what you all mentioned, right? Some people will want to be really involved and do loads, and some will be on the periphery, and some will ebb and flow, and some will return when they need the anchor point and then come back out again. And I think that's such an important part for me of the community, is continuing to create that kind of sense of freedom, rather than you must be here every Friday for the lunch and learn, or whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm being very careful not to over-engineer it, but I am and will continue to be very grateful to all of you for being part of the community, and for shaping it, and for shaping me, because I wouldn't be here, as I say, doing what I'm doing now without all of you. So I'm very grateful for that. So thank you, ladies. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure, and we haven't had any major disasters. So, you know, I good.
Not yet.
I'm going to say not yet.
Wait till the files get to your producer before you say that.
But regardless of where this ends up, I hope it ends up as, you know, episode whatever of season 2. That's my hope, because I want people to hear our conversation and share it with us. But regardless, I've had a lovely time and a great conversation. So I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Good.
Right. Take care, everybody.
Lovely to see you all.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Coach podcast. I hope it gave you something to reflect on, something to feel, and maybe even something to act on. If you've been nodding along or feeling that tug of recognition, you're not alone. These conversations are here to remind us that courage isn't about having it all figured out. It's about showing up, doing the inner work, and being willing to be seen, even when it feels uncomfortable. If that sounds like the kind of coaching journey you want to go deeper into, I'd love to invite you to check out the Courageous Coach program. It's designed especially for qualified coaches in the early years of building their independent practice. Those who want to coach with more courage, clarity, and humanity, and grow a business that truly reflects who they are. You'll find all the details over on my website, and I've popped the link in the show notes to make it easy for you. And if we're not already connected, come and find me on LinkedIn. Whether you've got questions about the program, want to share what's resonated for you in this episode, or you just fancy a chat. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know another coach who might need a little courage boost, pass it on. Courage is contagious, after all. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, stay curious, stay human, and keep choosing courage.